all of the molecules that you want for supporting the body are much higher in the wild source. So what we're working with today, and we always have been, we haven't changed our source in over 30 years. We're working with a blend of 4 species of oregano that comes from the wild, that has the highest properties known in nature to support the immune system, the digestion, the skin, your respiratory, your lungs, your ability to breathe.
Pine Power Plus, it's in a glass bottle, raw. Tell us about Pine Power, and I'm going to flash it on the screen here as you're talking, Steve.
And then we also have the spruce needle extract, apple cider vinegar, so it's totally stable, doesn't have to be refrigerated. Apple cider vinegar is going to give you a lot of beautiful benefits for blood sugar, for metabolism. And then also you're going to get some oil of oregano, some P73 in there too.
Welcome, everybody, to episode 153 of the Healthy Habit Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Dayan of the Medical Center here at Healthy Habit Health Foods and Healthy Habit Medical Center at 6029 North 7th Street. And look who's back to keep us in the loop here, our monthly check-in with North American Urban Spice. The Director of Education is with us here, Mr. Steven Harkins. Welcome back to the podcast.
Thank you very much. Good to be back.
Steve, we have new customers, new listeners every single time here, every week, almost every day here of the Healthy Habit Podcast. Tell us about North American Urban Spice before we dive into our fall, end of summer, September episode here.
Yeah, I could go on and on, of course, but you probably want to know how we're different than the hundreds of other supplement companies that you see around you. Well, we've kind of crystallized it lately into 3 areas. So how we're different. Number 1, we will never use synthetic vitamins or nutrients. We only use it from real whole foods. That's our commitment to you guys. Number 2, we will never standardize anything. That's a process where you have the perfect amount of curcumin. The percentage is really high. It's outside of nature. And there's some processes that are involved with some toxic solvents. So we don't standardize. We just take what nature gives us and give that back to you. And then the third and last, and probably most important, that sets us in the 1% of all the companies out there. We don't use any additives or fillers that wouldn't give you a benefit. So if it doesn't give you a health benefit, if it's not from nature, you won't find it in any of our products. We've got about 300 products in our full set.
300. Wow.
That's
okay,
correct.
I didn't realize we're up in the 300s. Incredible.
Yeah,
what would be a top 3?
innovating.
What would be a top 3 that people have known the company for over the years? And maybe oregano, I'm sure it's somewhere in there. Oregano with an L at the end.
Number 1 is oregano, and I know we'll be talking about that some more today. That's your sword in the fight for immune support. The immune support is the military of the body. The oregano is going to be your strongest weapon in that. So any of our oregano products, that would be number 1. Number 2 would probably be our Purely Pack, because that's going to give you all your daily nutritional needs. It's nature's multivitamin. We go from places all around the world to source these different foods. And then number 3 would be the newcomer this year, which is our triple magnesium product, something that we think everybody should take every day of their lives. We just aren't getting enough magnesium. So those are the top 3 for us.
Thank you, Steven. So in communication here with Steve and Stan, the demo man, we got our trifecta here, and even dating back to with the late, great Dr. Cass Ingram. He was always in our communication here leading up to radio and now the podcast show. COVID's still going on here due to the end of summer surge here being upon us. We want to touch on some important things like we just hinted at the oregano, both the tincture and the capsule version. SinuOrega is an option. And we'll try to even slide in this Orega Sin that's for kids here as we've transitioned to back to school here now. At the time of this recording, we're about a month, 3 weeks into the back to school. By the time this airs, we'll be end of September. So where do you want to start us off with here as we're transitioning to the fall now, out of the summer?
I think oregano is a great foundation. And just why oregano? There's so many different things we could do for immune support. And how important that is to the whole equation. That you would need, everything from back to school, back into the classroom, back to work, and then just the cold weather that's going to be coming in. And what's weird? It's been kind of a weird setup this year because people are getting sick in the summer
Right.
more than I usually see. And I don't know if you're seeing the same thing where
Yeah,
you are.
definitely. Same
Um,
thing, yeah, happening all, and even sinus congestion. A lot of it's allergies, but
okay.
but respiratory inflammation, colds, flu, COVID still happening. People are
Yeah.
still testing positive, so
Yeah,
definitely.
I'm seeing people out for, multiple days and even a week in my different circles. So, prevention and being proactive is really the best advice I can give is don't wait until you're sick. Do something now. Have a game plan. Have that force filled up so that because this stuff's invisible, you can't see bacteria, viruses, fungus, you
Yeah.
don't see these things. But they're out there and, you're exposed to different people, you're shaking hands, you're talking and all that. So the oregano is the first thing that we would want to talk about for support.
And then let's dive right into that. We have the oregano P73. There's different strengths. There's different options, Stephen.
Yeah.
Tinctures. You and I, we've covered this in previous episodes. We both agree tinctures are probably the most powerful, for the whole experience. But where do you want to start us with that? Where can somebody start if they're new to the oregano world?
Well, let's paint a picture to set the mood, I guess. There are over 80 species of oregano that exist. So that's the first thing that you need to know is it's not just any old oregano that's going to do the job for us. And so we discovered this about 30 years ago. Not me, I was just a little child, but
Yeah,
my
yeah.
aunt, when she started this company, she went and did the research. Dr. Ingram also helped with research and they found, wow, there's 80 species of oregano in the world, but not all of them have the medicinal properties for natural medicine. However, there are 4 species that are testing very well for those therapeutic qualities, very high in a compound called carvacrol, and that is what's responsible for a lot of the immune supporting effects that people look for when they're not feeling well. So what they did is they said, well, first of all, we also tested wild oregano from the mountains, and we found that this oregano was more superior, higher antioxidants, um, basically just more effective in the test tubes and in the different tests that were done. And so we want these 4 species. We're going to use this. We're not going to worry about the Mexican oregano, the Mexican sage, the marjoram, and some of these other things that get lumped in. And we're going to go straight to the mountains because we also tested the biological profile and we found that all of the molecules that you want for supporting the body are much higher in the wild source. So what we're working with today, and we always have been, we haven't changed our source in over 30 years. We're working with a blend of 4 species of oregano that comes from the wild, that has the highest properties known in nature to support the immune system, the digestion, the skin, your respiratory, your lungs, your ability to breathe. It's all there. If we were to take those seeds and we were to put them here in our backyard in Illinois, we would not get the same potency or effects. And so that's the only way to do it. And that is what oregano P73, when you hear that moniker, that name, it refers to this 4 species blend. And so we're very different than many other companies that may be farm grown commercially in a greenhouse or just using one species. So we've got this interesting kind of a bouquet of compounds that you can't find anywhere else. And that is what oregano P73 is. Now, the oregano comes in different forms.
Right.
You can just get the raw oregano herb directly from the rocks in the mountains at these high elevations where it doesn't even grow on the dirt, it grows on the rocks. And that is, of course, our Oregamax, for example, it has that raw herb in there. That's a good daily support. Think about when you put oregano on your food. And I always say this is McCormick on steroids because you're getting it directly from the mountains.
Right.
You've got the trace minerals, you've got about 30 to 40% vitamin K content in this raw oregano herb as well. It's going to support your bones and your ability to blood clot. But then there's also the oil where we take all of this raw herb and it takes a bunch of raw herb to do the oil, and we make it into a steam distilled essential oil and we use olive oil as the carrier to push it into the cells. And that is the oregano oil, which is much more potent. And you can actually use the raw herb and the oil in conjunction with one another. That's a great way to support the body's healing mechanisms. And then of course we have the soft gels, which you have up on the screen for those who don't want the spicy taste of oregano. The taste, if you've never tried it before, kind of knock you out a little bit because
Mm-hmm.
most people aren't used to these strong, peppery kind of herbs. But over time, the body seems to like it and develop a tolerance. But you know, the soft gels are for everybody. So even if you need to avoid taste, you can get the benefits. So that's the oil and the raw herb. We do also the hydrosol, which is the water extract,
Mm-hmm.
which is now water soluble. It goes to the body right away, can cross the blood-brain barrier. Really good for the oxygenation of your cells, helping you breathe better, and of course helping your get oxygen to the brain and supporting your digestion tract. So that's the juice of oregano right here. And then we have some formulas where we just put the a high concentration of oregano oil powder with other things. And that's those are more formulas like the
Right.
Orega Resp directly for your respiratory support if you've got something in the chest. You know, I like the juice of oregano too if you have a lot of mucus buildup or like that hack kind of cough that you can't get over, because it can really help kind of break things up and help you naturally expel that out. And there's nothing worse than that than a hack cough. So the
Right.
juice of oregano is very unique to us. But all of this is P73. All of this is the four species blend, wild, directly from the high altitudes in the Turkish mountains, is where we get them.
So all the oregano's coming from Turkey.
Yes, that's right.
That's incredible. Yeah.
And you know, Turkey, it's called Turkey today. But you know, oregano's been there long before they called it Turkey, long before. So it, you know, that is thought to be
Right.
one of the oldest places in the world. You know, if you're a biblical theory type person, Noah, the ark, coming to rest in that region, and then
Yes.
civilization then flourishing and growing from that area. So one of the oldest areas of the world where these herbs and things have been used by our ancestors since the very beginning.
Amazing. So yeah, I mean, we can devote a 5-part series to the oregano and the history behind it, and it's one of
Yes,
the
we can.
oldest herbs known to man that's been used. So again, you can go to NorthAmericanHerbandSpice.com or even just go to oregano.com, oregano with an L at the end.com. You'll see their full array there of the P73 options through North American Herb and Spice, or come talk to Stan, the demo man. Folks, it might not be a bad time now to start adding some oregano to your game plan here as we get into the cooler months. So what else can a product like, so we talked about oregano in general, kind of introduce the P73. It's coming from Mediterranean wild sourced, because that actually has more of the therapeutic properties than just getting a synthetic version, or if you grow it right there in your own backyard, like you were mentioning. So, what about a product like SinuOrega? I've given this a lot to people here through who are having the sinus congestion, difficulty breathing, stopped up nose. Tell us about SinuOrega.
Well, it's unlike any other nasal wash or nasal spray I've ever seen out there because most of these will just give you like salt and water. Once in a while, there'll be some chemicals in there that can be form a dependence or be toxic. And so you wouldn't want to snort those. And the sea salt and water can be somewhat effective. But when you have a sinus infection, it's usually a fungal infection that you have, and so you've got some buggers in there that you have to address. And so this is the spice oils of bay leaf, the oregano P73, also the clove and even sage. And so it's in this salt water solution, which is sea salt, by the way. You want to make that distinguishment, and spring water. And then so that is something clean with spice oils. That is the X factor of this formula. So if you can't breathe, you're totally stopped up, and you've got a lot of inflammation and things in your nose, you try this spray. It's pre-metered. You just take it under your nose and then it shoots the mist directly up. By the way, I broke my finger, so if you see that, don't worry, I'm okay. Uh, I'm
Everyone's
actually using.
wondering.
Yep, I'm fine. I had a little bit of a football injury. I'm using some things from our company to help. but the SinuOrega is amazing. We've had a lot of people that have had sinusitis, rhinitis for a number of years that have used a number of methods to support them. They've even some of them have had surgeries, Dr. Dehan, and they just felt like they were going to have to live with this for the rest of
Yeah.
their life. Some very extreme scenarios, but they used the SinuOrega and they got relief. And so we have a lot of testimonials on how the SinuOrega has helped people. I know a lot of during travel, a lot of people are relying, wanting to take it. If you're in the hotel room, actually, those are some of the dirtiest places. The vents, if you don't even look at the vents, but the air is not so good, and so a lot of you know what I'm talking about. The SinuOrega is an absolute must for travel, and if you're stopped up, it works, and it's pure. It's not going to give you any unwanted chemical.
And that's right in the nose, correct?
Right up the schnoz,
That's
as Dr.
the
Ingram would
late
say.
great the schnozola right up there.
Blast
So
it out, just pound it. Yeah, he would always say those things, but it's true. Don't be shy. One spray in each nostril, and then just as needed throughout the day. And it's so small, it can fit into your pocket. It's travel size.
right, especially if you're congested, having a hard time breathing through the nose, head pressure, headaches, especially in the frontal region. This isn't medical advice. This is how people have used it before with relief. I've used it multiple times. It definitely works, gets the job done, but it's intense, right? You might want to have a
Yes,
box of Kleenex there to blow your nose with all the stuff that it comes through the sinuses there when you use that product.
definitely. It's like when you eat a very spicy hot soup and it's just your whole nose is just, draining
Right.
out. It's like that. It's going to induce that kind of a thing for you. But and don't use it, we're not suggesting to use it recreationally.
Right.
You just use it as needed.
And then how about Pine Power? Let's hit on this product. It's been maybe over a year, maybe even back on the
Yes.
radio. I don't remember hitting Pine Power with you in a long time. There's Pine Power Plus. It's in a glass bottle, raw. Tell us about Pine Power, and I'm going to flash it on the screen here as you're talking, Steve.
Absolutely. So Pine Power, it's a very strong kind of elixir tonic that we've made. It's a combination of red and white pine needles. We like those pine needles because they have some compounds in there that are really special, like shikimic acid. And then we also have the spruce needle extract, apple cider vinegar. So it's totally stable, doesn't have to be refrigerated. Apple cider vinegar is going to give you a lot of beautiful benefits for blood sugar, for
Right.
metabolism, and then also you're going to get some oil of oregano, some P73 in there too. So, we're talking about immune support, digestion health, gut health at large, and things that compounds that you need, to support um, your inflammation, and then your antioxidant response, and of course your immune system at large
Yeah.
with the shikimic acid. And so shikimic acid is a compound very special, very interesting, used in Tamiflu in a more synthetic way. And so this is the nature way here. But then you can use it proactively. And what I find is it actually gives me energy, and it's even got some oxygenation in here. So I really like it. You just kind of do a shot of it, and we always do this at the trade shows
Bam.
because it makes us feel good and it helps us talk better. It kind of helps the brain a little bit. It's really for like a total body response.
Right.
People just feel good with it.
I mean, out of 1,000 people that listen to this show, I bet maybe one or two have heard of shikimic acid or less than that. I
Right.
mean, it wasn't on my radar at all until this moment right here. Shikimic acid. You can easily just Google this and add the word scholar at the end. Shikimic acid scholar. And you can read through all this. It's a natural organic compound. And again, really high in these pine needles. And they're North American urban spice. You're sourcing it from American and Canadian white and red pine needles, it looks like, wild harvested. Tell us a bit more about that. It's
Yeah,
fascinating.
so pine and spruce, these are tree medicines. They're amazing. You've got different parts of the tree that you can use, and this is how the Native Americans and the different explorers that came and to our country so long ago. This is
Yeah,
how they survived the harsh winters and the harsh conditions. They didn't have the modern conveniences that we have today. And,
right.
and so yeah, there's parts of you can do so much with the tree, but we love the needles because they're very concentrated in these really special compounds, shikimic acid being one of them, that supports the immune system function, especially when you are sick. And also, it has some interesting properties for it has a natural anticoagulant and antithrombotic effect. So this
Wow.
what this means in English is, with clotting, it can actually make sure you don't clot too much. When you have these natural anticoagulants, your blood's not going to coagulate too much. And we've just seen a mysterious rise in clotting in different people. So we think this is a really good thing, like as a natural way without the side effects to just be kind of having this in your life, and just keeping yourself free from any unwanted outside invaders or any kind of blood issues with especially when it comes to clotting the wrong way.
Yeah, I remember Dr. Cass, he would talk about just it gives power, really strength, right? Vitality. It helps oxygen uptake into the brain, helps the blood flow better, right? Overall, cutting down inflammation. When a lot of Americans have that in their cardiovascular system in the arteries, they have all that inflammation, and then the arteries get stiff. Can you hear me, by the way, Stephen?
Yes.
Perfect. And then that predisposes you to heart attacks, strokes, high blood pressure. So can a product like this, that's typically how a lot of people are using it, right? For overall anti-inflammatory, but immune system benefits as well, since we have the Oregano P73 in there with it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if you have inflammation in your life at all, this is definitely something. And I like that it's a liquid, so the body's gonna receive it right away, the benefits.
Right.
And pine has been used for thousands of years. I mean, they make the tea out of the needles. What I like about it though is it's not heated; it's raw.
Oh yeah.
So literally every single enzyme and compound from the needles are trapped in here, and preserved by the apple cider vinegar. And so you don't cook anything, you're able to get it all into the system, and the body's able to. It's probably the most efficient way to get pine needles into the body to get those compounds in.
And this is in glass.
This is in glass.
There
That's
we go.
correct.
That's important to a lot of people, as it should be, and that's the Pine Power Plus raw red and white pine needle extract, folks. Healthy immune support and cleansing with some of that anti-inflammatory support. No medical advice, but it's a good idea to look into this. Come talk to Stan, the demo man, and our staff here. And folks, if you're just tuning in, episode 153 with Steven Harkins, North American Urban Spice, the Director of Education. And we're coming into the last few minutes here of the program. We've hit on oregano, all the different types. It's plugged into various formulas, so you can always go deeper. And again, come talk to Stan. He'll point you in the right direction. We hit on SinuOrega, which is squirted right up into the nose, into the nostrils there for sinus support. And then Pine Power Plus, too. I think that's a good trifecta to round it all out here today, Stephen. What's a good take-home? What else did you want to mention today that we didn't really hit on yet? And then we'll kind of close out.
Well, I think it was a really good introduction, or even a reminder for those of you who may know, introduction for those of you who don't. The Reginald P73, man, there's nothing else like it on this planet, which is why we've always invested so hard into it. The stories are unbelievable. They're so amazing. We're not even allowed legally to tell the stories, because of, FDA disclaimer, and not being able to prevent or treat or cure any disease or anything like that. But I will say there is an oregano oil for children. I know a lot of you have children. They're going back to school. They're going to get the crud. And so you want to protect them. And we have an oregano oil for children that's gentle, as early as 3 years old, can enjoy it right out of the bottle. You can also put it in your applesauce. That's called Oregacin. And then, so I like that we covered some of the really fundamental bases today. We talked about herbal medicine, and one of the strongest ones, which we believe is the wild oregano. We also talked about supporting your inflammation, because inflammation can be a root cause of disease. And so you've got this wonderful oregano is good for inflammation support as well. And then you've got this Pine Power Plus, which is good for that. And then this also helps with detoxification. Detoxing is important to your overall health strategy. So you've got herbal support, inflammation support, detoxification, and then the fourth pillar of your health you really want to think about is your nutritional aspects. So you want to make sure you're getting the vitamin C, you're getting the vitamin A, the vitamin D, all of the even vitamin E and the B complex that are going to support your ability to heal and your immune system's ability to fight. And so if you take care of these four things, you're going to be way ahead of the pack.
There we go. Yeah, I mean, this is again episode 153, and if you're new to the program here, you want to stay in the loop because every 4 to 6 weeks we'll have Steven on and keep us in the loop with what's going on at North American Urban Spice. And give me another company, folks, that offers a raw pine power plus from Canadian spruce and pine needles that's high in shikimic acid. I mean, it's hard to find. That's why I love having you on. It's easy to do these interviews because it's just interesting, unique products that are coming down the pipeline. So, anything else new in the works that might be going on at the company that people can keep their eyes on, keep a lookout on?
Well, I'll just tell you guys, we try to keep this close to the
There
chest,
we
but
go.
for those listening in, I know you guys are a lot of fans out there. We're working on a potential electrolyte slash energy shot that we're putting together. There's also a liquid multivitamin uh, idea that we're formulating and testing right now, making sure it has enough of the nutrition, all from foods. So it could eliminate taking a lot of capsules and just getting it in the liquid form. So those are a couple projects we're thinking about right now.
Thank you for the sneak peek, my friend. And where can people find out more about you or the company, or how can they stay in the loop? What's a good
Oh yeah, thank you.
place to go?
Oreganol.com, oreganol.com. Check us out on social media. We're on all the platforms at North American Urban Spice, and join us and follow for more content.
Steven, thank you for your time, my friend. Appreciate you.
Thank you.